when is enough personal development enough? When will the action come? When will we stop blaming our lack of action on something, an event, maybe something traumatic from the past? When are we going to stop putting blame and reasoning onto that and actually just do the thing? I have to admit, I've fallen into this trap myself a lot over the years. Having had things happen, when I was much younger, things that shouldn't happen, to children. I have to be frank with you, I blamed a lot of my inability to just get on and just take action on that. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychotherapist. So this isn't advice for those that, genuinely and sincerely need, medical advice. This is for those that probably a lot like myself who just needed to pull their socks up and just get on and stop banking blame, on things that have happened and just take present ownership. Because that's the truth of it when it really comes down to it, right? I've also witnessed a lot of other people, people, we've worked with inside of our businesses, and then just people I've come into contact with, through living a life, of where they've just labelled themselves for that long. It's just become a mantra that they live and die by. I am this kind of person, or this happened to me, so that's just the way I've lived for the last 20 years. And that's okay. People are, anybody's welcome to live the way they want to, but typically there's a lot of, because this is the thing, right? You hear a lot of complaint then on the back end of that declaration. Because I ask people, people we work with, this is one, part of the core makeup of how we get people into action is by willingly and wholeheartedly letting go of some or a big part of their belief system that they've held on to for a lot of years, what they believe about themselves, and then how and what that's made them believe about the world and the environment that they spend fucking time in, I think that's a trap that people fall into with personal development. I think it's a huge trap where it's almost like, I don't want to say addiction. I don't want to use words that then anybody that watches this can then use it against me, because people will. For those that are level-headed and understand where I'm coming from, you certainly won't, and you'll see that I'm just, sharing from experience. But there is almost like a partial addiction, of people where they just want to find something else that's wrong with them that then gives them reasoning and justification for why they can't just get on with the things they said they would do. Why aren't you doing this? Well, it must be to do with from 5-10 years ago. Okay, well, why are you not just doing this thing here? You should have been doing this for the last 6-12 months, right? Yeah, but every time I start that, then it brings up this feeling. I think it's associated with this. Why are you just finding more problems, man? just do the thing. Just take the step forwards, and then the next foot, and then the next foot, and before you know it, you look around and you've walked a mile. And guess what? You didn't have to carry the baggage of that stuff, that event, those events, that trauma, whatever it might be. I think this is a huge thing for people. And I know that because it certainly was for me. And I'll share, through, I'll share a little bit through my own timeline of how I just put that down, and put it to rest. It's oversimplified, by the way, so don't be expecting some sort of, grand, oh my God, you did that. No, you just put it down. But people want to just, read the next book, listen to the next podcast, attend the next, Tony Robbins event. I like Tony Robbins, but I know some people are just addicted and they have to go to every single event every year because they've been led to believe that that's the right thing to do. What I realized for myself was I was getting from continually sharing, what had happened, I got what was called a secondary gain. A secondary gain from sharing this information externally. And what I mean by that is every time I talked about the things that had happened, I got this, oh, must have been so hard for you. Are you okay? And I would get the thing that at the time, I'll be honest, subconsciously I obviously needed, which was there, are you okay? Do you need anything? And that was the gain that I was getting from continually bringing it up, using it as leverage and justification for my inaction, justification for why I was treating myself and other people close to me in a really poor fashion, a really poor manner. And eventually it just gets to the point of where you have to decide, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to behave in that way. And I don't want to be, and this is all I said to myself. Again, this is not me telling you this is how you need to treat yourself or, if this is, useful for you. But it was like, you're just going to have to shut up about this. Come on, Rich, just stop doing that. And what also really helped me personally was having other people, Elaine and, other individuals that eventually are just like, okay, we've heard enough of this for enough years now. Is this just how you're going to live forever? Or are you just going to let go of it? Because it's a long time ago. You can carry on holding on to it, clinging on to it. Almost like when you're on a roller coaster. The most fun times on a roller coaster are where you let go and you put your arms in the air, right? And there's like this freeing sensation of how you just then allow the ride to take you on the ride. And then there are other types of people that ride roller coasters, they white knuckle it, right? Like this, they're gripping on so hard. But what happens when you hold on so hard and you tense your body up on a roller coaster is you get bounced around. And when your muscles are very hard and you're tensed up in your hands and everywhere else and your teeth are clenched, you become like a rock inside of a box. Now, when you let go and put your arms up, everything becomes much softer. And, I'm a little bit squidgier, right? You bounce more than like hit the sides. I think that's a big part of what you've got to allow, what you've got to accept, is are you willing to let go and actually live with the present self and who you want to be. If you want to be, I've used the word action a few times, and I think most people's goals, aspirations, and the dreams that they have are just on this strange little fence on the other side of it that sometimes, you can see through and sometimes you can't, and you have to try and poke your head over. But action, actually doing the things, is on the other, that's where the dreams, the goals, and the aspirations are. And then The justification for not taking the action then comes up, and it's maybe buried in something that happened, or a belief you have about yourself. Let go. Very simplistic. But I've proven it for myself and within our coaching practice, if you want to call it that, time and time again. Shushing that voice in your mind that doesn't want you to move on, to pass by, to pass through, to create momentum and take the action. I like to think about it like an old identity. An identity that once upon a time did serve a purpose. But it was probably very momentarily to create some level of survival for you. Because you didn't want to end up in that situation or feeling that way again. Now, to be honest, this is self-recognition. Within a very, very short time period, that identity that potentially creates some protection is almost rendered useless instantaneously. But you see, then people, me included, cling on to those created identities, and that then becomes who we are, sometimes forever. You've got to decide for yourself, is that useful? Is it getting you to where you want to be? But back to the core subject. The core subject being, when is enough personal development enough? How many more, there's a lot of sayings that get thrown around, right, in the personal development world, like how many peelings of the onion do you need to do until you eventually just go, I could keep going forever with this shit. If I really wanted to, I could read every book on the shelf. I could listen to every podcast. I could attend every personal development seminar and event out there. But eventually, I have to just decide to let go of what happened, potentially just stop talking about it, because then the severity, the noise, the volume of it drops down to nothing, and then it carries no significance. An interesting question that I like to ask myself and I ask other people is, if you let go of this belief, if you let go of this idea of how you narrate yourself, how you narrate your life, who would you be? And one of the questions I'd asked myself was, if I stop being that poor boy, where all that stuff happened to you, and you stop sharing it with everybody, who would you be then? The really cool thing I found about asking myself that question, and typically when I, encourage other people to ask it for themselves, is you're left in a state of silence, blank. Oh, that's a really fucking cool question. And typically the response is, well, I can be whoever I want to be. Because like an artist, if you've got nothing, if you've got a blank page or a blank mind, a blank canvas, well, then the question becomes, well, if you can be anything, what do you want to draw? What do you want to paint? What do you want to create? Whatever you want. Go fucking wild. Does it matter? You are the artist of your own life. Might be useful for you. If you've been tied up in reading so many books and trying to find the answer to why you're not doing the thing might just be letting go. Is it that important that you have to keep talking about it, revisiting it, digging it up, attempting to dig down how many fucking layers, you know. What's the root cause? I have to find the root cause, do you? Do you have to find the root cause? Because eventually, even when you do find the root cause, the problem, guess what? That's it. Your job, once you find the root cause, by the way, is to then let go of the thing and stop talking about it and make it smaller and make it disappear. And you turn the cinema screen from being in 4K Ultra HD with all the surround sound, and you start turning the volume down and you turn it into 1080p, and then you make the screen black and white. You make the screen smaller, you switch the volume off altogether. So eventually, it's insignificant. It doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is what's happening right here and right now. That's how you get to decide who you are, what level of action you take, what you want to do with your life. Very simple. Hopefully this is useful for you. See you soon.